Hey, Dave here from Powerwolf with another Drifter Dev Diary. Today I'm going to talk about dialogue trees and my approach with the Drifter for doing dialogue trees and choosing dialogue in game. So this last month we did Ludonarracon at the start of the month, which was pretty cool. Got people playing the game on Steam. The art team's been mostly off sick this month, so I haven't got much new art to show or anything like that. But I've been working on controller stuff, so I've got sort of the regular controller stuff that I did a talk on a while ago, but I've been adding this controller support stuff to the rest of the game. So like going through the scenes, making sure everything's got the set up correctly, so it's nice and easy to use with the controller. And there's a bunch of places in the game where there's different kind of there's a scene where the character is invisible and that sort of thing. So working out how to do those scenes. There's things where there's particular interfaces that need specific controller support. But the other main thing, which I'll show you on the controller, is this inventory GUI thing. So now, as well as the sort of dual stick controls with the radial menu of interactable hotspots like this. Get out of there. You can, you've got your inventory items. And previously on the shoulder buttons, you can select your inventory. But I needed a way for you to be able to use inventory items on each other. So now there's a radial menu when you hold down the left trigger. And so similar to the radial here, you've got a left trigger to sort of bring it up and sort of look around. And then you can tap the right trigger, and then select something else and tap it again. I'll say the latter for when I need it. To use items on each other, or you can you can select one and then let go to have that one be your active now, or you can just radial and then let go of the left shoulder to select it straight away. So that helps when you've got stuff like let's stick some more inventory items in. Yeah, so when you got lots of items to have to toggle through to be able to just kind of quickly select them, and that was a bit of work, a bit of prototyping and working stuff out. Let's give some more, and then I also had to work out there's some sections in the game where you actually end up collecting quite a lot of inventory items, and so coming up with a way where you could actually scroll these. Because there's, it's a radial menu, there's a sort of limited amount you can do, you can fit on the one radial thing without it being too fiddly to pick one. I added these arrows at the bottom and sort of got them sort of moving back and forth. And yeah, so now I'm happy with that. It feels nice and quick to use. Like you can, grab an item and use it on something else quickly. I don't know if there's anything here I can use on other things, but, yeah, I can try stabbing stuff. Use the bar on something that you don't even have those items together in the game, but yeah. I need it with a gar. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of that's a big part of what I've been doing this month on the Drifter. So the topic today I was going to talk about is dialogue trees, and yeah, so I'll switch over to a different game. Let's do this one. Yeah, Delwinium. So yeah, I mean, you probably know what dialogue trees are, but just in case you don't, when you talk to a character in a lot of adventure games or narrative games, story games, RPGs, you're presented with a list of dialogue options. So text options, things you can ask a character about, and there's a lot of reason why this is good. Like it means you can have a bunch of dialogue and back and forth text in a game between characters, and keep the player engaged in it by like having them sort of say what they want. If it's a comedy, you can get to stick in heaps of jokes there. So one of the earlier games that you saw this in was Monkey Island, and that was when they put that together, it was because they wanted an opportunity just to present jokes to the player, where they get to see 4 different jokes in the list, even though they only get to say one, they get to pick the one they think is the funniest. So it kind of worked really well with the comedy. But yeah, I mean, that obviously caught on, and I mean, there was probably other RPGs and things that did that earlier, but yeah, that became the thing, which is in most adventure games and most RPGs, even things like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, I guess, have this kind of thing. And for the Drifter, I wanted to think about the reasons for it and not just like stick it in because every game has it. Make sure it was done in a good way. Because there is that, this stuff's very good. It's pretty, it's very useful. It's good at like giving you exposition, breaking up the dialogue when rather than just dumping it on the player, they get to sort of participate a bit. It lets you kind of have puzzle stuff where you have, say, you learn a bit of information, and then I can go back to that character and talk to them, and they'll have some more information for me because I'll be able to ask them this new thing. And yeah, that's I guess where one of the things I wanted to try and work out with the Drifter was the problem with that potentially is you don't really have any indication of that you've got some new thing you can talk to people about. There's no kind of gameplay mechanic in there to sort of suggest that. It's just that, yeah, so you end up with this thing maybe where you feel like, I don't know what to do, I'll just talk to everyone again in case there happens to be some random thing the designer decided I can ask about now. And another thing is like, you can always repeat, well, not always, but like the designer decides whether they should leave something here so you can ask the same thing again, because in this case, maybe you need that information later. And so the dialogue will happen again a second time, which is a bit funny. Like, why are you asking exactly the same question twice in a row, and that the whole thing plays out. So a few things like that I was thinking about. And then another thing that I don't like about dialogue stuff is because it's often used in puzzles, sort of dialogue trees specifically, this ends up feeling like a checklist. You feel like, okay, well, I've talked to a new character. I've got to click through all these items, make sure I've read them all, done them all once, Oh, this one too, and so that can feel like a grind. So there were some things that I was thinking about when I was working out how to do a dialogue tree system in the Drifter. So yeah, what I ended up with, if you played the demo, you'd sort of seen it, is making it sort of work with these topics that I've talked about in the investigative gameplay dev diary I did, where as you're playing the game, you're sort of learning little bits of information, or you kind of asking yourself questions, and these kind of present themselves up here as topics. Man in the yellow jacket, the leader of the Malinji. If I can get a current paper, it might have Mum's funeral notice, time and place. So, there's little things that they're like, oh yeah, that's partly maybe one of the player's goals, or might be a question they're trying to work out. All those bodies under the water, must be the missing homeless folks. Why would anyone do that? So, there's mysteries to solve. But these double up as things you can ask people. And the idea there was when you get a new topic up there, I'll skip this. Let's make it big. Yeah, when you get a new topic like I have now, they're presented up here with like the little plus, and you go, oh, okay, something's changed. I've learned some new information. And then like this one's about needing money to get out of town, run away, or the paper not wanting to buy his story because he wanted to get money that way. Now that's updated, you kind of know, oh, okay, it gives you a little incentive to think, oh, is there any characters I could talk about that with, because yeah, all these topics are repeated when you talk to someone. And so if something changes here, that kind of prompts you to think, to know that something might have changed when you talk to someone, or if you get a new topic, you'll know, oh, that topic will have appeared in everyone's dialogue. And so I wanted that to feel like more of a systemic game mechanic, as opposed to like, oh, at random some character might get a random sentence you can ask them. It's now like, if you get a new topic, it will be in every character's topic bar. And a lot of the time I'll grey it out, like, so this one's grayed out. If I tell her I died and came back, she'll know I'm crazy. This is, well, maybe that's spoilers, but only if you haven't played the demo. But it's a big part of the game. I think it's on the Steam description and in the trailer. Yeah, if I tell her I died and came back, she'll know I'm crazy. So, so that means, you know, I don't have to. When it doesn't make sense to ask a character something, I don't let you. But when it does, obviously I do. And that also means, say, maybe she's seen a guy in a yellow jacket, and there's the character you see. Japanese. What are we playing at? Guess who here? I don't want to bother security, Dar, but you're really tempting me. So she just wants to get rid of you. So now, rather than going, oh, what was it? What was that thing that we talked about before about this guy in the yellow jacket? I just update the description of this, so you can see up the top it says she doesn't know him, and so that gives you the important information that you might have gained from that dialogue, without having to click through the whole dialogue again just to check that you didn't miss something. So that works quite well. I quite like. I'm very happy with that. I like having the images down here and then the bigger description up the top. And instead of the description just being what you're going to say, it's more like what Mick's thinking he could ask. So it's like, I wonder what she's doing here so late, or if she can show me the paper, I can find Mum's death notice and get to the funeral. And so then when you talk to her about it, Mick can sort of present things in his own words. And you're not just sort of getting the repeated line of dialogue that you saw when you were choosing it. Now it says, she won't even let me see the paper. Yeah, one of the other things I needed, because a lot of the time there's something that's very specific to a character or very obvious that Mick would want to ask, is I kind of made a generic question mark. So in this case, I wonder what she's doing here so late. And that's because, because like, I don't want to have a topic just for that, just for her, Mick wondering why she's there so late, or any other character for just some very specific thing about them, like, how are you going, you know? That doesn't need to be like a topic which is across the whole game. And I mean, talking of the problems with this system, because there is some, one of them is, you end up with a lot of topics. So there's parts in the game where I've really had to pick and choose like which topics get dropped off in like ones that you're not worried about or not thinking about anymore. So I'll take them away, or I'll merge a couple of topics together to just keep this list down, because the other problem with this system is it's still got that kind of to-do list feeling of like, well, I've got to click every option for every character. And that's something I solve partly with these grayed out ones, when it doesn't, there's nothing you're going to get from asking them. So at least you don't feel like, oh, I've got to do every single one. And partly from just trying to keep it down, and also trying to keep the responses to these as snappy as possible, while still kind of getting a bit of the character through. So, you know, this sort of sarcastic receptionist who really doesn't want to be here. Not sure if there's anything else to go over. Like, I think a sort of a better way, or potential solution for this sort of to-do list thing of having to feel like you got to grind through and click every one, is doing a bit more like inventory items, where you have to select the item and then click it on the person. I'll keep it to myself, but yeah, in that case. So select the item and think, oh, Mick has the reporter's card that she gave him, business card, and so she can give it to this person who works at the newspaper office. And so the player has to make that connection, because trying every inventory item on every single thing is just, you know, if you've done that, then the design sort of failed to like give the player direction, and the player's just lost and they're just brute force trying everything. But I think the best way this stuff works is, if that just feels like, oh, that's not worth doing, there's too many things to click everything on, I've got to actually sit down and think about what makes sense to do. And so that could work with the topics as well. So I could be something where I'm like, okay, I want to talk about the finding a newspaper to find the funeral, the death notices. And so I could like click that and drag it onto the reporter to ask her that question specifically. And that would mean that unless I was going to, the same with the inventory items, unless there was a reason to click an inventory item on a person, like there's no reason to use a Zippo on her. And so likewise, maybe there's no reason to ask her about the Malinji or something. in some cases. Yeah, it would stop that feeling of like, I'm presented with a checklist to click every item on. Yeah, but there was issues with that. Like I couldn't do this question mark thing where as effectively. I couldn't do the thing where I'm graying them out and like giving Mick's opinion of what he would ask them about, which I quite liked. So it would you'd just be going in blind, like you don't know what he's going to ask about specifically before you click it. And then yeah, you can just ask the same thing again. Oh yeah, the other thing was sometimes you walk into a new environment, and if the first thing you do is click this thing on ask about the man in the yellow jacket to someone before like saying hi, it just feels off. like you feel like you need that interaction with them, so that you walk up to them or something and you say hi or you introduce yourself, and then you're presented with the options of to dig into conversation when they let you, because there's a lot of characters and a lot of times in the game where you don't get presented with a dialogue tree because it's not someone who you really want to interview. It's just or is willing to talk to you at all. So you have a little interaction with them. And then as a designer, I get to decide, is this someone where the players or the character is going to actually want to be sort of asking lots of questions, or are they just someone who tells you to buzz off, or is just, an irrelevant person who's sort of irrelevant to the story and there as a sort of, because they happen to be in the scene doing their job or whatever it is. Yeah. So, and this stuff sort of works with the controller as well. Pretty similar, back and forth. Yeah. I'll leave it there. Thanks for joining in again. And yeah, till next time. Bye.